Greetings gamers, Agent Sin, and today I'm going to be talking about Pokemon. So yeah, Pokemon. This year is the 25th anniversary, yes, 25 years of this big, long-running, highest-selling media franchise in existence. And today I'm going to be looking at all 8 of the mainline Pokemon generations, and obviously this is going to be an every blank reviewed video, so I'll be looking at them for a few minutes, of course, and giving them their scores. And how I'm going to do it this time is I'm going to review them by their games in each region. Like, for example, I'm going to cover the Kanto games first, then Johto, then Hoenn, then Sinnoh, then Unova, then Kalos, then Alola, then Galar. So yeah, I'm going to be covering all 8 generations, one by one, and I'll be looking at each version of them too, and giving each version their own score. So without further ado, let's go! Alright, so now we're on to the Kanto region, and for this generation, it was a pretty good start to Pokemon overall, and the original 151 are, of course, great Pokemon, and this is definitely the perfect start to this generation, and these games were just really, really great and a joy to replay, honestly. And they have a lot of variety to them, and of course they have some interesting characters to them, obviously. And these are definitely the region that most OG fans remember the most, probably. Now there's different versions. First there is the Game Boy originals, Red and Blue, and I guess Pokemon Green, even though Pokemon Green was only in Japan. That one is pretty good, but definitely not really worth playing nowadays. The original Red and Blue and Green. Pokemon Yellow, though, it's definitely better for sure. As it's basically like the enhanced version. It had Pikachu, and you got like all 3 stars. Well, you got Pikachu as your starter, and you got and all 3 of the starters from the original you can get throughout the game. Pokemon Yellow was definitely the definitive version. However, Gen 1 got remade with the game that you're seeing here, Fire Red Leaf Green. Fire Red Leaf Green, either that or Let's Go, I'd probably say is the definitive edition. They have tons of new content for sure. And yeah. Anyway, though, Gen 1 has really cool Pokemon, really good story, honestly, and some really good gameplay to it and stuff, and lots of variety. Definitely a good start to the Pokemon, of course. Let's go give it a rating. Alright, so I'm gonna give Red and Blue an 8 out of 10. Good generation, but not the most replayable nowadays. Same for Yellow, but it is obviously the definitive version Game Boy-wise. However, either play Fire Red or Leaf Green, or Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee. Those are by far the most perfect ways to play them nowadays. But overall, I'd give Gen 1 overall a 9 out of 10, or 9.5 out of 10 probably. Really good generation as a whole, and it was a perfect start to Pokemon with its variety and how much Kanto has to it, the starters, and the Pokemon and the trainers and everything. Perfect start to the series. However, the next generation is my favorite one, even though that's a popular opinion. Alright, so now we're down to Generation 2. That's up next. Now there's 3 different releases of Gen 2. First there was Gold and Silver, released on the Game Boy, and then they made the Definitive Edition with Pokemon Crystal, and then on the DS they completely remade it with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Overall, I love Gen 2 a ton, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver are definitely one of my favorite games of all time. Gen 2 was just Pokemon at perfection, with excellent Pokemon, excellent region, and I love how it connects to the first generation too. That is really interesting, and the Pokemon is so good, the gym leaders are really amazing, and the towns you enter are really interesting, of course, as the first 4 regions of Pokemon are actually based on Japan. And I've always wanted to go to Japan, of course. And yeah. Well, all that aside though, Generation 2, masterpiece. excellent Pokemon, even more variety. I love how it connects to regions. And Generation 2 by far has the most replayability, the most content to it, and they just have some of the best Pokemon trainers and gym leaders in existence, and everything about everything about Gen 2 just feels flawless, basically, almost. And they have so many good stuff to them, and especially in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, that was a Pokemon game done just perfectly with everything it was. Even though some of the gym leaders are really hard, especially the last gym leader. But yeah, excellent game. Let's go give it a rating. Alright, so I'm gonna give Gold and Silver a 9 out of 10. Excellent game, of course, but Crystal was better for sure. I did the enhanced version, of course, and 10 out of 10 with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Easily the best Pokemon game in my opinion. Gen 2 is as excellent as you guys know. It basically feels like Gen 1, but way better, with it just being really, really interesting, and it has great music, great Pokemon, and definitely some of the best Pokemon I've ever seen, honestly. And it feels so interesting, and it has a really great post game, definitely the best Pokemon game. And I meant post game. It definitely has the best post game in the entire series overall. And, so yeah, Generation 2 as a whole gets a 10 out of 10. But Gold and Silver 9 out of 10, Crystal 9.5 out of 10, Heart Gold and Soul Silver 10 out of 10. But now let's move on to Generation 3. Alright, so now we go on to Generation 3. Now Generation 3 is a really great generation. And yeah, it's not my favorite generation, but it is a pretty good one for sure. It was definitely the best way to have a Pokemon game on the Game Boy Advance, honestly. Now of course, there's Ruby and Sapphire on the Game Boy Advance, and then Pokemon Emerald came about about 2 years later, and then they got remade a decade later on the 3DS with the game we're seeing here, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Overall, Gen 3 is a 9 out of 10. It's a really good generation, but I do think that the first two generations are better and stuff, but yeah, Generation 3 is pretty good, and it definitely has some of the best themes in its series, and definitely has my favorite villain teams with Team Aqua and Team Magma. And the story overall is probably, it might have the best story in the series it possibly could, honestly. And yeah, the gameplay here is just really interesting, honestly. And especially in the remakes, with it having more features from X and Y, which we'll get to later in this video. Overall, Gen 3 is pretty good, honestly, and it had some excellent Pokemon, and it has some excellent towns to it, and the overall themes and stuff of Generation 3 are definitely some of those interesting out of the series. So yeah. And the characters are just some of the best in the series too. And while this is not my favorite generation, I love it a lot for sure. Let's go give it a rating. Alright, so I give the original Ruby and Sapphire an 8 out of 10. Great game, but not the version to play through nowadays. Emerald, 8.5 out of 10. Better. I do think that either that or Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire actually is the definitive way to go. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, yes, definitely Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, definitely that is the best version, honestly, with it having 3D graphics and new features from X and Y and stuff. Anyway, though, Generation 3 as a whole is pretty good. I love how unique and interesting it is, and although yes, that's too much water, that's fine. Yeah. I don't mind having too much water. 7.8 out of 10, too much water, yeah. Alright, all jokes aside, Generation 3 is pretty good, and it's definitely a fan favorite. Not my favorite generation, but I like it a lot. Now let's go on to Generation 4. Alright, so now we go on to my least favorite generation. Even though it was the first generation I ever played, as Diamond was actually my very first Pokemon game. Anyway though, Gen 4 is one that I like the least, but I still really like it. My main problem with Gen 4 is that it's too slow, and I do think that the rest of the games are more interesting, honestly. But Gen 4 is still really, really good, and I highly recommend you check out Platinum. Well, actually no, wait for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Anyway though, Gen 4 is pretty good, and it's honestly probably the most interesting, I'll have to scratch that. In my opinion, it is the least interesting out of the series, but still a good game, and it's still interesting, honestly, even though I've used that word so much in this video. Anyway, though, this region also has my favorite Pokemon, Lucario. Anyway, though, this game this region has tons and tons of great Pokemon. This generation is just full of that, and honestly has some pretty good characters overall that are pretty iconic. In fact, the anime based on Generation 4 is actually considered the best Pokemon anime. All that aside, though, this is not about the anime, this is about the game. So anyway, though, Generation 4 is really good and solid, even if it's the worst generation. It also has probably some of my favorite legendary Pokemon in the series, for sure. And the gameplay here they had here is pretty good. However, my main problem with Generation 4 is that it's pretty slow, but watch my opinion change about that with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. But let's just go give it a rating. Alright, so I'm going to give Generation 4 overall an 8.5 out of 10. But if I rate them individually, I'll give Diamond and Pearl an 8 out of 10. Good, but it's really slow, and yeah. And Platinum, 8.5 out of 10. Better, but still a bit slow, but definitely better, and for enhanced version, it had tons of new tweaks that made it improve on Diamond and Pearl. But Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl gets a question mark out of 10 because I don't know what to give it, because keep in mind that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is not out yet. So I can't say anything about Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl because it's not out yet. But I am going to be making a new version of this video after it comes out, and after Legends Arceus, since I want to look at that one too after that releases, which I will be getting day 1 on January 28th. And I'm excited to get Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl in November, which I will be picking up Brilliant Diamond anyway, though. I gotta give Diamond an 8 out of 10. It's good, but too slow. Platinum, 8.5 out of 10. Better, but yeah. It's still good, I guess. And it's still worth playing. But I don't have to say about Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl because it's not out yet. So let's go on to Generation 5. Alright, so now we go on to Generation 5, and I absolutely love Generation 5. Generation 5 is my second favorite generation. Now, Generation 5 is interesting because it actually has 2 games. First they did Black and White, and then about 2 years later, they did Black and White 2. So yeah, but both are really excellent, and I love Gen 5 because the Unova region feels the most interesting out of them, well, besides Johto, that is. And the Pokemon are just amazing. And I love how unique Unova is, even though it doesn't feel too connected to the previous regions. And to be honest, Nate and Rosa are some of the best Pokemon protagonists ever. Okay, all talking about that aside, Generation 5 is pretty good and actually really, really great. The region overall is excellent. They have amazing gameplay, and I believe Generation 5 and 6 are the only ones with triple battles and rotation battles. The Pokemon are just really, really excellent. And it definitely has some of the best Pokemon in the whole series. And yeah. Now Black and White, it's great. Black and White 2, however, Black and White 2 is a masterpiece. Black and White 2 was even better, having tons and tons of amazing features to it. Yeah. I love Generation 5 a ton. It's my second favorite generation. Let's just give it a rating. Alright, so I give Black and White a 9 out of 10. Black and White it was definitely a pretty good, kind of a soft reboot of the series, with it being set in a new region that's not too much like the rest, but I love the Unova region overall. Has excellent characters, excellent Pokemon, excellent areas in Unova overall. Black and White was really great. I love Black and White 2 even better with it, and it truly felt like a masterpiece. I definitely hope that for Gen 9 we get remakes of Black and White 1 and 2. I really hope it happens, and yeah. But now let's go on to Generation 6. Alright, so now we move on to Gen 6, which is my second least favorite generation. Just like with Gen 4, I like Gen 4 a lot, but however, my least favorite for how slow it was. Gen 6 is my second least favorite. Well, I think it's better than Gen 4 for sure, and I definitely take it over Gen 4. But Gen 6, the problem with it is, it's incomplete. You see, Nintendo and Game Freak will normally do like enhanced version or go the route of Black and White where they do a sequel. However, we got none of that with this game. I mean, for Gen 6, during that generation, we got this, then Game Freak remade Ruby and Sapphire, and then they took a break for 2 years until Sun and Moon. And here's the thing, Pokemon Z had a ton of potential, but it never happened. All that aside, though, I like Gen 6 a lot. However, and Gen 6 is very interesting and has a ton of variety, and some of the best variety in the series, honestly. And the characters are pretty good, and to be honest, the X and Y anime is probably one of my favorite animes of all Pokemon. And but once again, this is about the games, not the Pokemon anime. Okay, all that aside though, Generation 6 is pretty good overall, and the Pokemon in it are really interesting, and I love the new features, especially Mega Evolution, with it having fully 3D graphics instead of pixelated graphics, and Mega Evolution is amazing and stuff. And the post-game content, although it's not the best post-game, has a pretty good post-game to it and stuff, and the towns and stuff in Kalos are really, really cool. But once again, it's incomplete because they didn't expand on the lore of Kalos by making a Pokemon Z in between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and Sun and Moon. But let's just give it a rating. So yeah. So X and Y gets 8.5 out of 10, and this is also the only time in the video, well, outside of Generation 8, where I'm just going to give one big score, because here's the thing. There's only one release of Gen 6, so yeah. X and Y gets 8.5 out of 10. Really good, has amazing new features, but my problem is, it's incomplete, because Pokemon Z never happened. And the stuff about Zygarde, it was just moved into Sun and Moon, yet they used the lore of Zygarde in Generation 6 anime. But all that aside though, X and Y is actually pretty good, and I highly recommend it if you have a 3DS. Well, I actually play Y, which I played Y. Anyway though, really good, but incomplete. And it was a really good start to the series on the 3DS, and it was also definitely a great start to Pokemon being a simultaneous worldwide release, and with it having all these new features, including fully 3D graphics after it being pixelated graphics in the rest of the series. So now let's go on to Generation 7, and the last generation on the 3DS, and for a console that's just a handheld. Alright, so now we're on to Generation 7. which, like I said, is the last generation on a handheld-only console. Anyway, though, Sun and Moon was definitely a really excellent game. However, Ultra Sun and Moon, that one was even better. It had so many new stuff. But Generation 7 as a whole, definitely really great. It is different from the other generations, but it had really great graphics for a 3DS game. But how it's different was of course the gameplay with it having Z moves and stuff, and with its island trials mechanic, that was pretty interesting, I guess, and which was a replacement for gyms. And although it is different from them removing gyms, I'm totally fine with that as it fits the theme of this game. It seems that this region, as the Alola region, is based on Hawaii, and to take inspiration from it, and set on a group of islands in the Alola region. And the Pokemon in this game are pretty cool overall, and it definitely has one of the best sets of Pokemon for sure. And the gameplay is just really good, and definitely took a lot of new gameplay features from X and Y, and expanded on them, which I like. And the story here is definitely one of the best stories in the series, especially in Ultra Sun and Moon, where they had a ton of new story. And it's definitely one of the best ways to make a director's cut enhanced edition with Pokemon. Let's go give it a rating now. Alright, so I'm gonna give Sun and Moon an 8.5 out of 10. Good and better than X and Y, but for the version that you want to go with is Ultra Sun. It has a ton of new gameplay features and stuff that really boost the experience. But and 9 out of 10 is what I give Generation 7 as a whole. And it's definitely the most unique out of them, the most different out of them. Well, for sure. And Generation 7 has some really excellent Pokemon, really excellent gameplay overall. The gameplay is some of the best in the series, so yeah. But now let's go on to the most recent generation. And the second one with an individual release, because Sword and Shield got DLC instead. Alright, so now we have probably the most polarizing out of the games we're seeing here, but definitely the best modern Pokemon game. And I'm talking about Sword and Shield, which was also the first original Pokemon game on a home console. And since this was the first original Pokemon game on home console, they had so much variety with this game, and the wild area they were seeing here is really cool, and it's fun to just keep exploring and do max rate battles online, which is really fun. And the Pokemon in this game are pretty good, as always. And yeah, and definitely has probably one of the best sets of starter Pokemon, to be honest. And I'm definitely glad that it did DLC instead of enhanced version. I like that a lot. That they went with that route instead of just doing DLC instead of enhanced version. And the Isle of Armor Crown Tundra really had new stuff to the experience overall. And the new Gigantamax and Dynamaxing feature that replaces Z-moves and Mega Evolutions, really cool. It's nice to see them basically like combine Z-moves and Mega Evolutions. And the characters in this game are pretty good. And although it is really easy, I don't mind that. Hot take, I personally don't mind difficulty, but yeah, that's just me. Anyway, though, the gameplay here was really amazing, and the features they had in the DLC were really good, and the gameplay was really cool. It's fun to explore the wild area, and Galar is a very interesting region for what it is, and a very unique one too. And definitely, and this is definitely one of the most unique games in the series. Now let's go give it a rating. So yeah, Generation 8 as a whole gets 9 out of 10. Definitely had some really amazing features. It was cool to see that they honestly had really good use of optimizing it for the Switch, and the graphics here are pretty good, honestly, and stuff, and the features overall are good. And yeah. And anyway, that's it for this video. See you guys next time. HNS out.